Hey, good morning, guys. Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV, and today I'm going to basically reveal and focus in on what everybody's talking about in terms of inside pitch and their running mechanic or their base running mechanics. I'm going to try to be as objective as possible. I play IP and I enjoy the game, and so I don't want. I don't know if there's any way that my personal opinion is not going to leak through this some way, shape, or form, but I'm going to try my best to be as balanced as possible with the base running portion of inside pitch baseball. So let's get to looking at it a little bit more closely. All right. Now, when you look at the inside pitch card, the baseball card, the player card, you're going to find that hits are uh, represented as S3s, S4s, S1. S3 is a single past the infielder at first base. S4 is a single pass, and I'm looking at this lower portion of the screen right now. S4 is a single past the second baseman. S1 is the single up the middle past the pitcher. S6 is to the left side past the shortstop, and S5 is to the left side past the third baseman. Now, pretty much this is based on baseball logic, right? So if I'm, and up here you'll see going from first to third, right on top, we're looking at the left side here where it says runner advance mod. You're going first to third and you're going second to home. Okay, those are the two we're going to be looking at right now, and then I'll get to the other information, which is a little bit different. All right, so this is pretty self-explanatory. If you're a base runner of a 2 to a 6 and the ball is hit past the first baseman, you're going to go to first to third. Only the slowest guy is not going to make it there. Why? Because you're looking at a ball that's hit down the line. The right fielder has to go to his left to pick it up towards the line, and he's a generally speaking, he's a pretty long distance. The throw from right field to third base is a longer distance than, of course, left field to third base. That's 101, right? So there's going to be a greater opportunity for that base runner to go from first to third. Makes sense. Absolute makes sense. Okay. Let's go down the line on 1 to 3. So now a ball hit to second base, it's either going to be fielded by the right fielder going to his right or the center fielder going to his left, and it's going to be somewhere in between. And this is, of course, generalizations, of course, with the shifts and all that. But I'm not getting into that. Just generally, baseball historically, right? So it's going to be 3 to 6 now. It's going to be a little bit harder because now the center fielder could pick it up, and he's a little bit closer to third base and so forth. So now it's 3 to 6. So your speed, your base running speed, has to be 3 to 6, and we'll say it on the card: base running speed 3 to 6. Either it's a 3, a 4, a 5, right? It could be a 6 if there's 2 outs, for example. Okay, so it could go up to 6, and 6 would obviously is an automatic advance. All right, so all these in any case are automatic advances. From 3 to 6 is an automatic advance. No chance to be thrown out on these. All right, so a single up the middle past the pitcher is going to be a little bit less now, because now the center fielder, let's say, is coming straight into the ball. He picks it up and he's got his momentum going forward, and he can make a throw to third base. So it's a little bit less now. Now the speedier guys are going to have to really hustle to get over to third base. And that's a 4 is generally the speediest guy you'll see. There's a handful of 5s. There are 5s. I'm not going to say there aren't. There's a handful of 5s. You don't see those very often. Some teams have 2 or 3 of them. Last year I think I had 1 or 2 of them. But generally the fastest guys are the 4s, right? And then you go up to 5 if there's 2 outs. So then from 4 to 6 you'll be able to make it to third. Now, the shortstop, a ball hit to shortstop, well, now it's a different story. The shortstop is right next to third base. So you're not going to run in front of the shortstop, especially if he feels a ball right in front of him, and you're going to get to third base without him throwing over there and the third baseman tagging you out. So you definitely don't want to do that. So now it becomes much more difficult, it's going to be on a 5 and a 6. And then, of course, the hardest one, going from first to third, is when the ball is hit to the third baseman. Third baseman feels it. He looks over to his left. You're standing right there. He tags you. You're out. Go sit down. All right, so absolutely perfect sense. All right, it's all baseball sense. I explained it step by step. Now let's go to going from second to home. All right, so you're on second base. The batter hits a single, either past the first baseman, past the second baseman, past the shortstop, past the third baseman, or up the middle, past the pitcher. Okay, so past the third baseman, I'm sorry, let's start off at the top right here. This is where I am on the left-hand corner. Two to home, going from second to home. It's going to be 4 to 6. All right, so I guess it's from right field. So it's past the third baseman. The right fielder feels it. It's a straight line to the cutoff man, who's generally the first baseman. If it's deep, then the second baseman may go out there. And this is, of course, no shift involved. And you have a straight line to the catcher, so it's going to be 4 to 6. Now, past the second baseman, it's a different story. It's a little bit harder, and you're going to have a better opportunity of scoring from second. Okay, because this is a ball that probably past the second baseman, the right fielder is going to have to move to his right. The center fielder is going to have to move to his left to get to the ball, to pick it up, get his momentum, and get a throw in. So it's a little bit harder. Fair enough. Absolutely good. Now, on a ball hit up the middle, 1 to 6, so you can score if you're a 1, which is the slowest runner on the field, a 2, the second slowest, a 3, an average runner, a 4, pretty fast runner, a 5, very fast runner. There are no 6s unless you get bumped up because so any ball up the middle, you're going to score from second base. You know, I guess the throw, it's harder to throw from center field to home than it is from center field to third. And I guess that's what the thinking behind it is. All right, so going from second to home past the shortstop, it goes up to 3 to 6 now. So a 3-base runner, a 4-base runner, a 5-base runner, a 6-base runner will score there. 3 to 6 past the shortstop into the hole. Left fielder gets it. Or maybe if it's to the left of the shortstop, it'll be the center fielder who gets it. And then finally, past the third baseman, the left fielder is going to crash the ball and is going to get that momentum going, and it becomes really hard. It's a 5 or a 6 past the third baseman because they expect the third baseman, the left fielder to be backing up the third baseman. He's right there. The distance is a direct line to home. Distance isn't generally that deep. If it goes right to the left fielder, I mean, this presupposes a lot of things, right? Let's establish that. It presupposes that the ball's hit. It's not to his left. It's not to his right in left field. He doesn't have to back up to get to the ball and get his momentum going in the opposite direction. So it's a generalization, right? It's theoretical is the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I got stuck on it. Okay. All right, so now that's your infield type hits off the batter card, and you'll see these off the batter card. S3s, S4s, S1s, S6s, and S5s, all right? Now let's go to an S7, an S8, or a S9, or a D7, D8, or D9. Now this has an effect on everything, and this I think is where the confusion comes in a little bit. Had the infield chart aligned with the outfield chart, I don't think there would be a problem. Okay, but now this is a whole new chart with a whole new mechanic based on good baseball foundational theory, but it's a whole new mechanic in terms of calculating what you're doing here. Okay, so it moves, and you can make an argument and say, well, we're not calculating infielders' arms with guys when the ball gets hit past the infielder, right? But you're also not calculating the outfielder arm either, and you could now say, well, it was a slower hit ground ball, or it was a ball that wasn't hit a line drive, it was just in the hole like a seeing eye ground ball. You can go on and on and on and on. The point is, the issue now starts becoming that it's becoming a little bit, it becomes a little bit different. The mechanic, the approach to resolving the safer out or the advance or no advance it changes a little bit. Let's look here. All right, so going from first to third on balls hit to left field, center field, and right field. I was saying 9. Is going to be a little bit different, right? And you know that obviously a ball hit to left field, well, the left fielder and third base is, maybe 80 feet away from each other. Okay, so it's not a long throw. It's easy to throw accurately, even if you don't have a great arm. And arm does come into play. So now the outfielder's arm is going to come into play, and you're going to have to add or subtract the outfielder's arm. It's either going to be a plus to your running or a subtraction to your running. Okay, so you have to look at the base runner's beginning run rate. Let's say it's a 3, your average guy, and now you're going to be a -2 from that 3. Just let's say the outfielder's arm is a 0 to not complicate things anymore, right? Let's just say it's a 0 all the way around, and every runner's a 3. So I'm going to base my explanation that way. Okay, so it's a hit to left field, and you want to go to third. Now the left fielder is right near the third baseman, and it's not a hard throw, so it's going to be really hard to do that. So you're going to get a -2 to your running. So a 3 becomes a 1. So on a D6, you're going to have to roll a 1. And I'm not going to talk about getting thrown out, because that's a whole nother can of worms. Because I believe everything else between 2 and 5 is a hole, and a 6. Now you can roll to see if it's if you get thrown out, and I believe that's a whole nother can of worms. Actually, it's a 1 or a 6 when you throw. So you have to throw multiple dice. But I don't want to get off task here because otherwise it becomes a jumble. All right, so it's a -2 to your base runner if it's hit to left. Now, if it's hit to center field, well, he's more to the right. Can you say that? Well, the center fielder is the left is he's farther. Let's just say he's farther away from third base, so it's going to be a tougher throw. So it's going to be only a -1. So your 3 base runner becomes a 2 base runner. So if I roll 2 or less, I will make it to third base. Still not a great chance to make it to third base on a ball hit to center field if I'm only a 3 base runner. Okay, now. It changes here. So those are the negatives because you're towards the middle or the left side of the outfield, which is closer to third base. Makes perfect sense. Now, continue with that reasoning. If you're farther away, if you hit the ball to right field, right, you're farther. The right fielder is farther away from third base, so it's going to be harder to make the throw to third base, and therefore you're going to get a +2. So suddenly my base runner, who's a 3, goes all the way up to a 5. That's outstanding. So I'm definitely going to try to get to third base. So I don't think it's the theory or the baseball thinking reasoning behind it that is an issue at all. It's not that. It's based on good baseball common sense. I think it's the change in the mechanic in that when balls are through the infield, it tells you exactly this is your range. But now he changes and starts adding and subtracting numbers, which then you have to add and subtract the outfielder's arm as well. That convolutes things a little bit and makes them a little more complicated to kind of. You have to stop a second and think, okay, wait, this isn't the S3, this is an S7, and it takes on a whole new dimension here in terms of the approach that it takes to figuring it out. It isn't just, okay, like an S3 is, okay, you're 2 to 6, I look at my card, he's a 3 base runner, he makes it. Oh, wow, easy flow, high playability, moves forward. S7, now that changes. Let's look at the doubles now, right? The doubles hit to left, and you're trying to go, you're trying to score. No, actually, you're going from first to home on a double hit to left, because obviously from second base, you're going to score automatically. So it has to be from first to home. Now, if it's hit to left field, it's going to be a -1. Makes sense. Left field, I guess, is more in line with the shortstop would go out. He would usually cover. It depends on a couple things. Second baseman well, I'm not going to get into all that. I'd have to think it through. I haven't coached in a while. But anyway, so the point is that it's a -1 to your running ability, and then of course you have to calculate the outfielder, but your 3 base runner becomes a 2 if there's a double to left. Now it doesn't say, let's say if it doesn't say it's a double in the gap, it doesn't say it's a double in the corner, it goes all the way to the wall. I mean, that's a big difference than, if it's a ball hit deep in the gap, but the outfielder cuts it off, right? Versus it hits the wall, bounces off the wall, you got to pick it up. That's a longer throw. Then you got to hit the cutoff man for sure, because you're not throwing all the way from the warning track, to home plate on a fly. It's going to get cut off at some point. So anyway, it's a -1 when you're going from first to home on a double to left. But if it's a double to center field, now they're figuring maybe it does what I just mentioned and hits those gaps, and you're going to be a +1, so your 3 becomes a 4, right? So a double to center field, you definitely want to take that advantage and try to score. Now, but if it's hit to right field, it's going to be a -1 again. So to the corners, scoring from first to home is a -1 to your base runner. Your 3 becomes a 2. But if it's hit to center field, and I guess they're visualizing that these are the balls that drive deep into the gaps, and the outfielder doesn't have the momentum for, like they're backing up towards the warning track to get to that ball, and they lose that momentum. And again, I can visualize that. The reasoning is good, and so on and so forth. Now, that's the basic runner advancement on hits. That's how it goes there, right? Then there's a couple other things. Anytime there's a base runner number less than 1, there's no throw at all and there's no advance. It's like, Gene Tennis is trying to advance, but the outfielder's arm is a -2, so he becomes a negative number. He cannot advance. He's not going to advance because he's not stupid, and the third base coach is not stupid. Remember, manager's not making these decisions. Manager's in the dugout. Manager doesn't have time when the ball's in the air, when the ball is hit, and the guys are running, and the third base coach is looking at the ball and trying to measure. The manager isn't screaming out or sending special signals to. This is all happening. It's very loud, and so a lot of times the base runner is making the decision, and the third base coach is making the decision. Okay, to make these. So when we play the game, and we, as we're probably dugout managers. We're not making those decisions where to go or to not. We're acting as the third base coach, let's say. All right. Okay, so, and if it's higher than 5, no throw, runner advances 1 base. So higher than 5, basically it's 6, right? Higher than 5. Well, why would you use higher than 5? If you're a 6 or more, right, you automatically take the base and you're safe. Okay. But that's fine. Now let's go to outfield throw chart. Now this is a part where a lot of people run into a lot of problems. So now initially, when I started playing this game, I was throwing, I believe, at least 2 dice. And on a roll of, so if I'm trying to score or advance, and there's a roll of a 1. So outfield throw chart, roll 3d6. Let's just go by what it says, right? Game with 6+ runs differential, no throws. So when you roll a 1, check second die on the 2.1 chart. If you roll a 2 to 5, if the roll is higher than the advancing base runner, then runners hold. Otherwise, a base advance. So if the runner is higher than the 2 to 5 roll, if you roll a 2 and he's a 3, or if you roll a 3 and he's a 4, then he would advance automatically. If you roll a 6, now you got to check on chart 2.6. Okay. Now you got to roll lead runner advances. If roll is higher than the trailing runner's base runner, no ADJ, no advance. I'm not sure what that means. No adjectives. The trailing runner holds. Otherwise, advance 1 base. Okay, I'm not going to get into all that. Now, this is an arm check, so if your runner is out, or presumably out, there's still another 3rd layer that you have to go into, and this is the outfield arm. Arm -2 is going to have a really good chance of throwing out the runner. 1 to 5. A -1, 1 to 4. A 0, 1 to 3. +1, 1 to 2. And a +2 is a 1. Right? So a +2 arm, the only way you're going to throw out, and that's the worst possible arm. Let me clarify that, right? A -2 or higher. I think there was a player with more than a -2 or less than a -2, right? Like a -3 or that would be less than a -2, less -3 or -4. Of course, it would be different, but I don't know why. I thought there was a player that was more than a -2, but it's not on here. But I guess it would be no advance at all, it would mean. I'm not sure. Forget that, scrap that. So anyway, you understand that the arm will have an effect on whether he's thrown out or he's not thrown out. And I guess this is for assists, right? A player with a lot of assists, like let's say the 1960, 1961 Roberto Clemente card, he had a ton of assists. Why they were running on him, it goes beyond me. He would have a -2, so he would throw out a lot of runners. But guess what? If I see he's a -2, I'm not going to try to score because I know my numbers are overall are going to come down so low that I'm probably not going to try to score on him. Because remember, the -2 not only has an effect on the actual throwing me out, but it has an effect on the ability for me to advance as well. So the minute I see a -2, I'm probably not going to advance. So just because you give the guy the -2 doesn't mean he's going to get the assist he really got. So this system is not in place to really replicate assists, because it's just not that way, because guys are just not going to make those decisions. And in reality, they do. And what proof do I have? Well, just look at the 60, 59, I think 59, 60, 61 Roberto Clemente. He had a ton of assists, right? 20s. And why were they running on him? Because they were crazy. They wanted to challenge him. They said, hey, I bet you I can outrun your arm. And Roberto said, okay, let's try it. You see, so there's that element of baseball that it's not always under control. Like we try to, when our tabletop games give us a lot of control, too much control. I like some things to be out of control, like it is, like almost if you're a war gamer, or you were at some point, the fog of war, they call it. That things happen when you're in battle that aren't happening as planned, right? Okay, so now there's still another part of this which is out of the picture, right? Using the third die result if needed, and I'm not going to go into that. There's a third part of this, but it talks about lead runner advances, lead runner's thrown out, lead runner advances, ball cut off, trailing runner is caught in a rundown. Then you have a rundown chart. Roll 1d6, a 1, a 2 to 5, a 6. I'm not going to go into all that. I'm going to stick with what's on the screen. And the last part I'm going to go into is the ground outs. All right? Rolls of 6 are automatic advances, but now there's factors. Okay, let's look at runner on first base. Runner versus hitter. You have to add the ground ball. The ground ball, the hitter's ground ball rating, double play rating. Excuse me. The hitter's double play rating, the pitcher's double play rating, the pivot rating, and the depth rating. So there's 4 different factors to figure if you want to calculate a double play. Okay, that's all I'm going to go to in the runner on first. Runner on second. Now runner advances on a ball hit to first, second, or catcher. Fair enough. Runner holds on balls hit to shortstop or pitcher if roll is higher than the base running number of the runner. Otherwise, he advances to third. Okay, and runner advances the ball hit to third base on a 6 only. So now let's go to runners on first and second. Again, you got to do the same thing. Second to first double play. Try out all grounders except third base. Ground ball to third base now changes. You have to do an additional die roll, 1 to 2 towards the line. If the DP or force, it would go 5 to 3. 3 to 4, right at third base, choice of force only at third base, or try to second to first double play. So you can step on the bag at third, there's a ball hit to third base, or you can throw second and try to go to first. And then if you roll 5 or 6, it's in the hole. DP chance will only go second to first, right? So that's the only choice that you have. Runner on first and third, defense chooses to play in or not in. Runners on second and third, defense chooses to play in or not in. So that's the running chart in a nutshell, pretty much. Um, you know, and that's all I want to say. So it's based on good baseball common sense, and really ultimately it's up to you if if this is your comfort zone. If you want to, uh, through the experience. Now, if you play the game 1,000 times, I guarantee you'll learn it. Okay, so I don't want you to think you can't learn it. Now, it may take somebody 10 times you play through, or they may get it instinctually, you know. But it's not second nature. You're going to have to think about it because you're going to have to do some sort of addition, especially on balls hit to the outfield. On balls hit to the infield, very simple. But on balls hit to the outfield, and then to figure out if the runner is out, you're going to have to go to that the chart on the right, the yellow chart on the right with the yellow surrounding it. You're going to have to go to that chart, and of course there's going to be calculations for double plays, several calculations for double plays as well, and you then have to calculate if it's only a fielder's choice. So is the throw higher than the base runner's base running number? Then it's going to be if he gets him at second base. So if the first baseman, if you roll a 5, well, then it's not a double play, but it's going to be a force out because your 5 is higher than the base runner who's a 3 at first base. So you get him at second base, no double play, right? Usually double play numbers are low. Like a 1 is probably almost automatic, unless you get a terrible mix of players where everything goes against you. Like you get a +1 and a pivot. You get a pitcher who creates negatives for your negative modifiers for your double play, like negatives, right? Negatives would bring the number down. So if you have a 3 for a double play and you have a lot of negatives, then they're going to bring it to a 2 to a 1 and so on and so forth. You want players that are going to turn double plays positive. Like you may have a pitcher that has a +2 double play. That means, man, he's gonna bring about a lot of double plays. So anyway, I don't want to keep on rambling about the game. I focused in on just the 2 main charts, and that's it. So now it's up to you to really decide if this is what you feel is in your area, in your comfort area or not. And luckily, we're in the golden age of tabletop baseball games, which allows you lots of different approaches to choose from. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and this is Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and click on that little bell so you're alerted as to any of these type of informational videos that I put out. Take care, guys.